The big game is fast approaching, but wait, you still haven't got your tickets. You've spent hours searching, but you're still confused about ticket prices. Time to stop searching. Visit ticketcompare.com. We compare ticket prices for all the popular leagues and tournaments for you. We work only with the most trustworthy sites, so you can have peace of mind when buying your tickets. Compare prices, buy tickets, get to the game. Ticketcompare.com. Buying tickets made simple.
Sorry, in the middle of that.
How we doing? Okay, guys, when we're ready, we'll start with Sky Sports News.
You've decided on a call-up for Tammy Abraham of Swansea. What do you feel he'll bring to your squad at this stage of his career?
Well, we've called 3 or 4 young players up, and we think they're all talented players. They're all players who we've monitored right the way through our system, so we know a lot about them, and we feel now is a really good chance for us to have a look at them. I talked after the last games about we needed to qualify. We kept the squad together to do that. Then one of the keys was, okay, how do we evolve the team and improve our performances between now and the summer? And we want a bit of experimentation within that. These are 2 brilliant games to have a look at people, because if they can go in and perform at this level, then we'll know a lot more about them. And I'm excited to have a look at them. You know, we know them well, we know what they're capable of. And as we saw with Harry Winks in the game in Lithuania, it was just a reminder to me that until we give them that opportunity, we just don't know what they might do. So if I'm asking club managers to be brave on picking young players, then I think I've got to do the same.
Must be very pleasing for you that Manchester City and Tottenham are performing so well, both at home and abroad. You were here last night as well. How do you tap into that feel-good factor around English clubs in Europe at the moment and make them transfer that from there to a non-competitive environment with yourselves?
Well, I don't know what's non-competitive about our environment. You know, our games. Yeah, but there is no non-competitive game for England. These are huge opportunities for us to improve, play against the best 2 teams in the world currently. I don't see a fixture where you put an England shirt on where it's not competitive. So that's important that we register that. In terms of the Champions League, brilliant. You know, it's great that our young players in particular are going to get big match experience. The guys that were here last night, the game in Naples, looks like the majority of our teams are going to go into the knockout phase. They're exactly the games we want them to be involved in. So every game with England is going to be high intensity, high pressure, and the more experiences they have of that with their clubs as well can only breed confidence. And when they play like the teams did last night, then they'll get a lot of self-belief from those performances.
You've included Ashley Young, I think 4 years or more than 4 years after his last involvement. Why now for him?
Well, his performances warrant it. We want to play with wing-backs. It's a role that I think he can perform left or right really well. He's played very well for Manchester United. Generally speaking, we want to look to younger players and develop the team. But I've always said if a more senior player is playing well and warrants the call-up, then we should include them. And he's a player that every Manchester United manager has picked. So that tells me something about his mentality and the trust that they have in him. And so given the change of system as well, I think the position suits him really well.
And as regards Harry Winks, were you convinced of his potential at international level even before his performance last night and of course at Old Trafford where he stood out for Manchester United?
Well, I think with Harry, we knew his ability in our younger development teams. We knew what Tottenham have thought of him right the way through. He was a player we were looking to monitor. We had hoped would go to the under-21 finals last summer, but missed that with his ankle injury. We didn't call him into the Lithuania game initially because there were other players that we wanted to look at. But then when he was with us, he trained well, and we thought it was a great opportunity to see him in that sort of a game. And he's gone on from that, handled an England debut, which I think that game was more about could he play for us rather than how he would fare against the opposition. Has given really mature displays against Real Madrid twice and at Old Trafford, as you said. And we want players, all of the players I've called up from the younger teams are players that can handle the ball. My desire is to play in a way that we control possession of the game, and I don't feel we've done that as well as we might. I don't think we've created the number of chances we'd like to. So the more players we can get who are technically good and can move the ball through the middle of the park, then that will create opportunities for our attacking players, and we've got goal scorers in our team.
Arsene Wenger said yesterday at his press conference that a fit Jack Wilshere would get into any England squad. Why do you not see it that way at this stage? Is it just a question of game time for him?
I don't know how you get in England squad without getting in an Arsenal team. So there's no question in our mind about Jack Wilshere's ability and his football brain and his personality. We just need to see him playing regular league football before we think it's right to put him back in, because with him there's been, unfortunately for him, a history of injuries, and we want to make sure that he's robust enough before we bring him in. I did have a conversation with Arsene about him on Saturday, because he's a player we think has the ability, is a top player. So for him it's just game time really.
Chris Smalling at Manchester United, who's captain there. Why his mission right now?
Well, I've huge respect for Chris. I think he is a player who's obviously playing at a big club. We want to play in a certain way, and I think the players I've brought in, I want to see using the ball from the back, building up in a certain way, and that's the style thing that I want to have a look at. There's some young players who this is a good opportunity. I know what Chris can do. There are some young defenders who haven't got as many games under their belt, so I think this is a great chance to look at them and to see whether they can play at this level.
England this year have enjoyed some fantastic success at representative levels. Are any of those players, particularly the older ones, in your thoughts right now or in the next few months?
Well, I think one of the reasons that I'm in the job is because we know every player in the system, and we want to bring some continuity in terms of how we play right through the age groups. So we're totally aware of every single player and the level that they're at. That's why we've called up the players we have. It's brilliant what the under-17s did last week, the style of play, really exciting players coming through. And a reminder that actually the nation is excited about international football, but it needs wins and it needs good performances to make them excited. But I think over 3 million watched that under-17s final, so I think that's given everybody a lift. And it was a reminder of what we did in the summer as well with the 19s and the 20s. But we think the 3 or 4 boys we've called in are ready. We don't think any of the under-20s are ready. They're not playing regularly at their clubs. We think there's great potential in all of those age groups coming through. But we've got to pick the right moments to put them in, and we think that the right moment is now for Ruben, for Tammy and for Joe.
Joe Gomez, as you just mentioned there, he's been very impressive for Liverpool at right back most of the season. He's also filled in at centre back. What do you see as his best position? Where do you see him playing for you?
He's a centre back. Joe's been one of our best defenders since he won under-17 Euros. Was our best defender within that. Was unfortunate with injury, obviously played a lot under Brendan, got in the team as a lot of young defenders do at full-back, played left-back for most of that season. But he's a centre-back really, and I think in a back three it's perfect for him. He's quick, athletic, can use the ball, great personality, really good feedback from AD around his performances and his mentality around the under-21s when he captained them last month. So really pleased to be working with him again. We had him in the under-21s ourselves, and I think he'll relish this opportunity.
Just finally, from me, 2 games against top quality opposition, which one do you think will be hardest?
Yeah, impossible to say. Slightly different tests really. Germany are a really well-oiled machine, clear patterns of play with and without the ball. Over 10 years working really with the coach and the system, they've been a great model for us to look at in terms of our development pathway, and to see how seriously they've taken that, the long-term plan that they've had in place, how they continually evolve from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3 to 3 at the back in the last year or so. So they're always fascinating to play against and to see what they're going to do next. Great pathway of young players coming through. Brazil a bit different, physically really strong, strong defenders, don't move the ball through the team quite as fluidly as Germany, but incredible individual talents in their forward positions that you've got to defend against one and be able to work out. So they're very different tests, but two really exciting tests. And I think tickets are selling out. You know, we're pretty much sold out, I think, for Brazil already. And I think both games, you know, our qualifying games, it's hard to capture the imagination of the public. They're a very similar challenge. Teams that come with a packed defence, teams who are expected to roll over, which is always more complex. I think these are games that everybody gets excited about, fans, players, everybody. We're looking forward to Wembley being full and really testing ourselves.
Okay, guys, we'll go to a couple of Ian Detners next, and then we've got questions at the back.
Gareth, do you hope this, when it is a young England squad, do you hope this can capture the imagination of the public?
I think, look, I'm excited about working with this squad. You're always finding that balance of when to put young players in, how many to put in. But I think we've got to start to give them their head. I think everybody's been excited by what's happened with our youth teams this summer. I think it's time to start to feed that into the team. And that means that, yes, we're young, but I think that brings energy. I think that raises the level of training. It creates competition for places. These guys are technically good enough to come in, so now we'll be able to see whether they can adapt to playing in the team and playing against top level opposition. But I'm confident that they can give a different dynamic to what we're doing.
And one of those players is Harry Winks. How would you describe the attributes of Harry Winks?
Well, I think he's shown real composure in big matches. Good technical ability to keep the ball. He looks to play forward when he can. Good range of passing. Able to receive and change the direction of play. But it's been his composure in those, an atmosphere like last night that's really stood out. So, of course, like all of these young players, I mean, he's older than Rashford and Gomez and people. So. But the squad generally has got lots of young players in, and it's nice that while the spotlight one week is on one player, there's actually lots of good stories within the team in terms of players that are coming through and I think are really exciting in every position. So Harry's a great example of a player that his managers had belief in him, he's reaping the rewards of that.
And finally, for me, are the FA now reaping the benefits of the DNA programme that was established, 3 or 4 years ago, with the success, obviously most recently in the 17s?
I think that success is culmination of a lot of different things. You know, there's no one reason for a successful youth setup. What's clear is that there's been consistent success across all the teams, so that's not coincidence, that's not fluke. But there's been a lot of good work done in the club academies. You know, the way that our young players now are developed technically, we're getting the game at grassroots level is more technical. You know, the switch to smaller pitches is going to have benefits as we go in years to come. The amount of contact time and coaching time, the quality of coaching is improving, and has improved. The style of play is different. Has been different through youth football for a recent period of time. Add into that big investment into our national teams in order that we've been able to bring in more coaches, better backroom staff in terms of medical, more full-time people. St George's Park itself an environment, a home for all of the teams that everybody feels comfortable in, and there's consistency in how we work. Improved games programme, games against top nations. Our under-16s, with respect, we were in the Victory Shield every year, playing games that are similar to the players get at club level every week. We've taken our under-16s to America the last few years. They've played Brazil. We've taken the 20s that went to Mexico for games. So when they play those teams in world finals and world competitions, they're used to playing against the different styles, and they've got confidence because they've played against them before, whereas there was always a bit of an unknown of the level. And also, we've invested in a team at every single age group, so there's continuity. You don't miss a year at international level. That could be an extra 7 or 8 youth caps, which is invaluable experience. So all of those things, I think, have added to a real successful programme. Now the challenge is twofold. One, we have to continue that success at youth level, and everybody will now be a target, and will want to know what we're doing and why we've had success. We've got to stay ahead of the game, and we've got to convert that into the senior team over a period of time.
Okay, guys, and we'll finish up at the back there. Question, yeah.
Hi, I'm from Sport TV in Brazil. Can you please maybe rank how's going to be this match against Brazil among all the matches you have as an England manager? Can I say it's the biggest challenge, one of the biggest? And you talk about the younger teams. What do you think will be the most important things for the success to be transferred into the senior team?
Okay, yeah. I mean, the game against Brazil is exciting for everybody because of their history, but also the talent of the current squad. They've qualified, incredibly strong performance in the most difficult qualification route there is. South America is the hardest qualification programme, without any shadow of a doubt. So they're hardened to really difficult fixtures against top opposition. In terms of our converting our youth success, we've got to have some continuity in our plan. We've got to make sure that there's consistency in how we work and keep that going internationally. And now it's clear that we have players that are capable of playing league football in our league. So our young players need opportunity. The more they get to play, the more that we can give them the playing experiences that they need. Coaching can take a player so far, and probably up to under 18, under 19. Our games programme matches the quality of anybody around the world in terms of club football. Then other countries are exposing players to first team football, and that has to be replicated. That's the best way to learn. You can learn so much from a coach, but games like last night's teach you more than anything else. So we have to get our players playing regular first team football.
Okay, thank you very much.